morning, sir. My name is Wang Jixian. We are from Group 2 BMMA S11. So today we are going to present our group project. So our group project is named as Company Punching Time System. So the function of this project is when an employee is clocking in at the work, the employee is required to enter staff number to clocking in, and the data will be stored in the system for each type of clocking in. After employee clocking in, the system will check the validity of input data and record the clocking time in the system. When employee get off work, they are required to using staff number to clocking out, and system will record the clocking time. System will calculate the salary of the day for each staff. Besides that, system will also calculate monthly salary for each employee, total all staff monthly salary, and checking how many working day of an employee. So in every month, the system will generate a report that include total working hour of each day for every staff, daily staff salary, total monthly staff salary, total salary of all staff in the month, and total working day of the month. So the scope of the project is we want to help the human resource department of company to monitor the working performance of their employee, help the human resource department of company to manage the working time of the employee, and use as an assistant to calculate the employee pay for their employee. So the input of the system consists of three. First is the staff number. So employee is required to enter staff number to clocking, and system will check the validity of the number for every time clocking. And clocking in time, the time of clocking in will be recorded in system for every clocking after checking the validity. Clocking out time. So the type of clocking out will be recorded in system for every clocking after checking the validity also. So the output of the system has 6. So the first one is daily check-in and check-out. System will record the time check-in and check-out for each staff and count out a report file. The second one is staff name list for each clocking. System will using the staff code enter to determine who is the staff and count out time check-in and check-out report with staff name. The third one is daily salary. System will use total working time of a day to determine the daily salary of the staff. And the fourth one is system will using the total daily salary in month to calculate the monthly salary. And the 5 is total all staff monthly salary. So system will summarize all the staff monthly salary to let company know the manpower cost in the month. And the last one is total working day in the month. System will calculate the total working day in the month and come up with a report. So the flow chart, when the system is start, the system will display the introduction and the function menu. So the user is required to select the function. So if the user select one, which is the check-in, so the system will first display the local date and will require the user to enter the staff code. So after that, user will check the validity of the staff code. If the staff code is valid, it will display the local date and display you have successful check-in, and the data will be stored at the check-in TST file. If the staff code is not valid, it will display please try again and end the program. If the user select function 2, which is the checkout, the first one is the system will display the local date and require the staff code from the user, and the system will check the validity of the staff code. If the staff code is valid, the system will display the local time and display you have successful checkout, and the data will be saved in the checkout TST file. If the staff code is not valid, the system will display please try again and end the function. If the user select the function 3, which is a setting, the first one, the system will require the password from the user, and the system will check the validity of the function. If the function is not correct, it will require the password again. If the function is true, the system will display the local date and time and the manual selection. Then the user is required to select the function. If the user select one, the system will display please register new staff name, and the system will require the user to enter the staff name, and the staff name will be stored in the staff name list. After that, the system will display the please input the code of the new staff. So the system will require the user to enter the staff code, and the staff code will be stored at the staff code TST file. And then the system will back to the main function. And if the user select 2, the system will display resetting the local time and date, and after that the system will display the newest local time, and after that the system will back to main function. If the user select 3, the system will direct go to the main function. So if the user select the number 4 in the main function page, which is the summary, the system will check the input file is open or not. So if the file is failed to open, the system will display failed to open input file and jump to the end of the program. And if false, which is mean the file can open, the system will read the file and check if the system can read input file 1, 2, 3. If successful read, it will jump back to this. And if false, the system will display staff error and check the ID of the staff, and will determine the staff code. If false, the staff code is not correct, it will display staff code error. If true, it will use the worker data to calculate the total working day, and will calculate the average total day and the average pay also. So after that, the system will display the output file, report, and summary. After that, the system will back to the main. After that, the system will end. If the user select the number 5, which is exit, the system will display the input and get the input from user. So after that, the system will check whether the input is true or not. Is not number 2, the system will go back to the main function. Is true, and system will end and close. So that is for our program flowchart. The user select 4, which is the summary. First, the system will check the input file. If the input file is failed to read, the system will display failed to open input file and will jump to this step. If the input file is can open, so the system will read the entire input file from 1, 2, and 3, and then will go to this step. So if the system is failed to read the input file and will display the start arrow and jump to here. So at here the I is initiate with 0 and the I is small than data. So at here the system will check the start ID. So if the start code is equal to the start ID, the system will use the worker data. If the start code is not same with the start ID, the system will display the start code arrow, and after that the system will jump to here. So at here the system will display the total day and the system will start to calculate the total working day. So the system will initiate t equals to 0 and the t is less than the day, and here the system will check again the start code is equal to start ID or not. So if the start code is equal to start ID, the system will calculate the total average working day. If false, the system will display the total average pay error, and finally the system will display the output file, report, and summary, and the system will end. If the user select number 5, which is exit, first the system will display a sentence to require the input from user. After that, the system will check the input is true or not. If the input is not true, so the system will go back the main function. If the input is equal to 2, the system will end. So this is for our program flowchart.
So I am Sung from BMMA S1/1. So now I would like to present my C++ assignment for the check-in part. So this is the code for check-in part. So here is the array part, here, 5 arrays. So when you run this program, it will go to here. Okay. So I just press 1 and it will like, today is July of 2021, like here. And then please enter the staff code. So I put my staff code here. So by the time, right, just now I do is 17.27. This is 24 hours. So you have successfully checked in. So what do you mean by ISO append? So this is like the storage of the part. Like here, when you just run it, you will auto save to the check-in text. Yeah. So this is the text here. So it will save here. Like you will, if let's say you run the second time, it also will save the following one about the time. Okay. So here it's all about the check-in part. Abort is like when you enter the wrong code, it will like come out from the main menu. Come out.
Hi sir, my name is Monica. For the checkout system, we want to select the number 2. Next, I want to explain about the coding of checkout system. First, in this system, we want to know the string stuff code. The string stuff code is the B09191030. That is the stuff code. By stuff code, each stuff got the different stuff code. And then we put the local time because we take the local time from Google because we want to know the accurate time of the working. There are 2 pictures. First picture is if we input the correct stuff code, the output must be correct. If let's say we input the wrong stuff code, is say please try again. Next, we see the offline out file open. By this, the checkout will be recorded in a notepad in the coding. The stuff please enter stuff code means the code of stuff you want to save or update in notepad. Next, this is the code that calculate the stuff checkout and check-in time, and the last final all this code will be updated. Next, we see the last part of the checkout coding. If let's say we input the wrong checkout system staff code means they please try again. If we put the correct staff code means they say you have a successful checkout. This we use the about system. About system is if let's say we enter a wrong ID or wrong password, the about system is directly go to main menu. They have the two picture. First picture, the staff is successfully access the checkout system. Second picture, first picture, the staff cannot access the checkout system because his input is wrong.
Hello everyone, my name is Denzel Charles and I'm from 2 BMMA S1/1. So for this assignment, I'll be presenting about the setting. Moving on to the next slide. So when we compile the program and run the program, the output display will show the main menu list. So this is basically the main menu list. Okay. For my part, I'll choose the option number 3, which is the setting. So this is basically the coding for the main menu list. Okay. So once this output is displayed, so I'll select the option number 3, which is the setting, as I stated before. Okay, once I selected option number 3, I have to enter the correct password. But in this case, I just try to enter the wrong password, which is 5678. So the statement shown here is wrong password, please try again. So this will be repeatedly continued in loop until I enter the correct password. All right. So the correct password here is admin5678. So this is designed for whoever know the password. Either staff or admin, they should know the password to access the setting option. All right. So after I have entered the correct password, which is admin5678, we can move on to the next step. All right. So the first option in the setting is register new code for new worker. So this is basically the coding for the registering of new code for new worker. All right. So for the output file, we use the iOS app. The function of the iOS app is append mod. If the file already exists, its contents are preserved and all output is written to the end of the file. By default, this flag causes the file to be created if it does not exist. So this is basically the function of the iOS app. Moving on to the next slide. Okay, as I stated before, once I choose the option number 1 in the setting, I have to enter the new staff name following by the code of the new staff. All right. So once I have entered the code and also the new staff, it will return to the main menu list. And this new name and also the code will be added to the text file, txt file. So to the next file, the next slide, sorry. Okay, the second option in the setting is reset time and date. So this is basically coding, basically the coding of the resetting the local time and date, right? So this is only done. This is only done when the system's local time and date does not tally with the actual time and date. So when I enter option number 2, it will automatically update to the actual time and date. All right, moving on to the next slide. All right, so as we can see here, the third option of the setting is exit. Okay, so let's say I've already entered the setting and I have nothing to do with it. Let's say I don't want to select anything. I just want to exit to the main menu. I can select this third option so that it will return to the main menu list. All right.
Good morning to Sir Rafi. I'm Juizwan and I will be presenting the program of reports, summary, and program exit. Okay, so this is the initial of the program main menu, and it's for the I will be explaining the selection for 4. When the user input 4 for the monthly summary report, it will go to the function of monthly report. So as you can see, the output of this is to the next of the right hand side. So for the next one is the function of monthly report. So for this function report, it's used of for processing if selection, while repetition, and for repetition. So this one is to for the first one, it will open 2 files. It is input report sample and output monthly report. So for while repetition, it will read the three data of the report sample. So from 3 data report sample, it will be on the next slide. I'll be explaining. So for the for statement, it will take this input data as it read to the staff code, and it will become the selection of the if statement. So for the next one is the report sample. Report sample, there is 3 data. There is staff code, morning shift, and the evening shift. So as you can see, this is the 130 days of the data of the worker. So this one, each worker is only 26 data. So all total up is 130 days. So for the next one is the continuous from the if statement. It's a if for the next staff code for 5 staff. Okay, for the last year, it will see out the total days of this all data. So as you can see, there is 130. Means there is 130 data in the report sample. So for the next one is the it will close the input file because it's to lighten the weight of the code. So this is the array that used to calculate the summary of the monthly report, summary pay of the monthly report. So it uses array and for repetition. So as you can see, this one is from the data structure of previous input file, and this one is the array from the local declaration. So it does up for 5 worker code, worker stuff code. So the next one is the example that it's displayed on this program output. It says that each worker have 2,281 ringgit of each month, of 1 month in ringgit. And the total payment of all these total 5 workers is 11,405 ringgit. So from here, it will rate for the monthly data report. Monthly data report, it will rate from the previous input file on staff code, name, average day, and average pay. So here will be the close of the monthly report data, and for the next is the open for summary report worker. So as you can see this, it will display for the summary for the next slide, for the next slide. So this one is the sample of the monthly report data. Monthly report data is, it say that this is the 130 days. So each of the 5 is 1 days. So as you can see, this is a 1 day's hours, and this is 1 day pay. This is the staff name and the staff code. For next one is the previous from the code that the output for the summary data, and it close at the bottom. So for the next one is the summary worker report data that output from the code. So you can see that the working days is 26 for each worker, and salary for each worker in a month is 2,281, and the total salary of all workers is 11,405. So for the next one, I will be explaining the function of program exit. For the program exit, it's very simple. When the user press 5, it's for exit input, but we use the do while repetition to prevent the user from accidentally press 5 key to instantly exit from this program code. So for input 1, it will go back to the main menu. And for 2, the shutdown the computer is because our program is to, when you check in, when you want to log into the computer, you need to check in first. If you no check in, if you didn't check in, it will just you can just exit and shut down the program and shut down the computer. So for the 1, it will go back to the main menu, and I do another one, 5 exit for the 2 for the exit program. So that's all for me.